keep an appropriate background to the lineage of gurus. And so here we are with the direct disciples in the background. Okay, so yeah, let's chant, and I'm going to meet you all. Okay, I'm sharing the screen with you. Let's chant together. Please join me. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitam Astu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the Supreme Spirit protect us. May the Supreme Spirit nourish us. May we work together with great energy. May our study be vigorous and fruitful. May love and harmony dwell amongst us. Om. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityur Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Let us chant one more verse today, dedicated to Guru. Om Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Let's chant it once more. Om Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om. Salutations to that Guru who revealed to me that truth which is indivisible, infinite, timeless divinity, and which pervades the entire universe, movable or unmovable. Good morning again to all of you. Probably you know that next Sunday, July 5th, is Guru Purnima Day. And on that day, we celebrate the occasion by offering our respects and reverence to the lineage of teachers. And we hold that celebration outdoor near our Shankara Mound, and people attend it, people love it because of its setting. But this year, owing to the restrictions, we are not going to hold it. So I thought that since Guru Purnima is approaching, let me talk about Guru. And the subject of my talk today is how our mind becomes our guru. So the term does not require English translation anymore. It is already into English lexicon. It is used widely nowadays to mean an expert, a guide. But in religious or spiritual context, when we speak guru, we mean our religious or spiritual teacher, our spiritual guide. There is no denying to the fact that the help of guru is immense. The need of guru is undeniable. When Swami Brahmananda, who was a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna and who is in the picture beside me to the right of Swami Vivekananda, he was asked, what is the need of a guru? He said, even to know how to steal, a thief needs the help of a guru. What to speak about spiritual life, about which we don't know much. So for every field, we need a guide. Guide shows us the roadmap of the journey, introduce, introduces us with the goal, and gives us necessary instruction about how to travel this path. So that is need of guru, and the need of guru is undeniable. We know that. In our Ramakrishna Vivekananda tradition, we speak of three types of gurus. As it were, guru operates in three levels. One, guru as Satchidananda. Our own Atma is our own guru. And Sri Ramakrishna said, Satchidananda is the real guru. Our own Ishta Devata, our own chosen ideal, our God is nothing but our own Satchidananda, our Atma. And that Satchidananda is the real guru. And that Satchidananda alone, in the form of a human personality, becomes human guru, who shows us the way. And at the third level, our mind becomes guru. Our mind is our own guru. In our tradition, it is encouraged to develop our mind in such a way that mind can become our own guru. One of the reasons for this is the human guru is not always available. Even when he is living in his physical body, he is not always accessible. And sometime or other, our human guru has to leave their physical body. Then to whom we should rely upon? That is why we are encouraged to develop our mind in such a way that mind becomes ultimately our own guru. But how we can depend on our mind? We all know how fickle is our mind. One of the senior Swamis told us, in our spiritual life, the only thing we have to depend upon is our mind, which we cannot depend upon. Only thing we have to depend upon is our mind, which we cannot depend upon. Because mind deceives us in various ways. For example, a very common example is at the time of daily spiritual practices, a part of mind plays trick with us, and we almost become convinced that there are other activities which are more important than spiritual practice. This is mind deceiving us. So how we can depend upon such a mind which we cannot depend upon? So it is very unique that Sri Ramakrishna said, the mind becomes guru. And if we search, if we look at other spiritual traditions, whatever spiritual traditions we may choose to, hardly we find such an emphatic statement, explicit statement that mind becomes one guru. There are references, or we may conclude from other scriptural statements that ultimately mind becomes guru, but such a direct statement, such an explicit statement that mind becomes one guru is quite unique from Sri Ramakrishna. So let us try to understand how mind becomes guru with the help of Sri Ramakrishna's own statements and a few scriptural references. First one is very known one, Sri Ramakrishna's statement that Satchit Ananda is the Guru. At different places, several times in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we see that Sri Ramakrishna says Satchidananda is the Guru. For example, I am quoting, he says, there is only one Guru, and that is Satchidananda. He alone is the teacher. Then he says again, Satchidananda alone is the Guru. If a man in the form of a Guru awakens spiritual consciousness in you, then know for certain that it is God the Absolute who has assumed that human form for your sake. The Guru is like a companion who leads you by the hand. It is Satchidananda that comes to us in the form of the Guru. If a man is initiated by a human Guru, he will not achieve anything if he regards his Guru as a mere man. The Guru should be regarded as the direct manifestation of God. Only then can the disciple have faith in the mantra given by the Guru. Once a man has faith, he achieves all. So he says at countless places, Satchidananda, our own Atma, our own higher self, which we call by the name Atman, Brahman, spirit, higher self, consciousness, that is the real Guru. So Atman is Guru, right? But mind is not Atman. Then how can mind become Guru? We can try to understand this with another of his statements that is also quite unique. He says, pure mind and pure Atma are the same. It is kind of equation. Satchidananda or Atman is equal to Guru. And mind, pure mind, is equal to Atman. So, pure mind becomes our Guru. He says in several places of Gospel about this, he says, God cannot be known by the sense organs or by this mind, but he can be known by the pure mind, the mind that is free from worldly desires. The mind must withdraw totally from all objects of form, taste, smell, touch, and sound. Only thus it becomes pure. The pure mind is the same as the pure Atman. Then he says, everything depends upon the mind. The pure mind acquires a new attitude. Through that mind, one sees God in this world. Therefore, one needs spiritual discipline. At, at another place, he says, God is knowable by the pure mind and the pure intelligence. The mind and intelligence that have not the slightest trace of attachment. Pure mind, pure intelligence, pure Atman are one and the same thing. When all the impurities of the mind are removed, you may call that pure mind or pure Atman. So, two of his statements that pure mind is nothing but pure Atman, and Atman is the real Guru. So, we may conclude from these two statements, like mathematical equation, that pure mind becomes Guru. Then question is how the mind becomes pure. In Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play, the biography of Sri Ramakrishna, Saradanandaji writes, a spiritual aspirant becomes pure by controlling the mind completely through constant practice of detachment and self-control. The master, that is Sri Ramakrishna, used to say that one's very mind then becomes one's guru. Whatever thought waves arise in a pure mind leads the aspirant quickly to the goal rather than leading him or her astray. And in the case of Sri Ramakrishna, we find that not only his mind taught him what to do and what not to do, but at times it would also manifest itself as a separate person who would emerge from his own body and appear before him. That person would encourage him to practice sadhana and threaten him with punishment if he did not dive deep into meditation. So, such a pure mind with spiritual discipline becomes one guru who, and remember these two terms, this is very important. We shall come back to these two concepts later on, that such a mind encourage and also threaten with punishment. This is a hallmark of a true guide. Not only the true guide encourages, but also chastises us, scolds us when it is needed. This two fine balance is the hallmark of a true guide. We shall come back to that in a moment. So what happens? How the mind becomes pure, and how what happens when the mind becomes pure? So we just saw that Sri Ramakrishna said, with practice of detachment and self-control, mind becomes pure. And if we remember Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we get a clear understanding of how pure mind becomes, as it were, our own Atman. Patanjali says that the goal is to realize our true self by restraining our mind. And he recommends two practice for that, abhyasa and vairagya. Abhyasa means the practice, And Vairagya means detachment from the world. Abhyasa and Vairagya, practice and detachment, spiritual practice and detachment. With these two, mind becomes calm, motionless when the light of Atman shines forth. It can be understood with an example. According to yoga, mind is like a lake and our Atman is like a sun. The sun is reflected in the lake, but the lake is choppy. Lot of waves in that lake. Not only that, it is also murky. There are a lot of dirt in that. So what happens in such a lake, the reflection of the sun is not very clear or very distinct because of these waves and because of this dirt. So with the practice of abhyasa and vairagya, what happens is, according to Sankhya and Yoga, mind becomes sattvic. Mind naturally is more sattvic than anything else in this world, but that mind also has got traces of rajas, activity, and tamas, dullness or inertia in it. When mind becomes pure, that is sattvic, with the practice of spiritual disciplines and some amount of detachment from the world, mind becomes sattvic. And with such a sattvic mind, what happens? The lake not only becomes calm, but also clear. The dirt is less and less. And then the reflection of the sun is almost perfect. So it is very interesting to note that both these two things are important. Not only trying to practice meditation, but also practice detachment. Because I believe all of us have tried to meditate and all of us have got some experience in deep meditation. In deep meditation, even when mind is not fluctuating, when almost our mind has been absorbed to whatever object we are meditating upon, we shall still find some bubbles, some bubbles coming down, coming up, welling up, we don't know from where. And the masters, spiritual masters say us that although we have fixed our mind, we have concentrated our mind, but because lack of detachment, because of our hankering for the sense objects, these bubbles well up. And when we have sufficient detachment, we shall find that this fixation of the mind remains steady. So the choppy nature of the lake is controlled with abhyasa, that is trying to fix the mind on object, and this murkiness which creates bubbles in our mind of worldly objects, events of past, memories of past, anticipation of future, these are controlled, this murkiness, these darts are controlled by practicing detachment. By detachment, it is meant knowing the limits of the sense objects. That the joy, the pleasure that we derive from sense objects are fleeting in nature. Knowing that, knowing that these are fleeting in nature, inherently they are fleeting in nature, turning away from them. That is Vairagya. With the practice of abhyasa, that is spiritual practices of trying to fix the mind, and with the practice of detachment, our mind gradually becomes pure and pure. It is not a either or state, it is a gradual process. The more we practice this, the more mind becomes sattvic. And all of us have experienced that if we are regular in our spiritual practices, gradually our mind becomes pure and pure. And this is quite imperceptible. We don't feel the change uh, so much because the change is very gradual. But we can feel the need of practice. If we stop practicing, then we'll see that state of mind, it has degraded. It has degraded. That's how we know that regularity in spiritual practice and practicing some amount of detachment is how beneficial they are, even though we don't see a very tangible result day to day, but we can feel the change over time. I often jokingly say that spiritual life, the graph of spiritual life is like stock market. In day-to-day life, stock market goes up and down, but over the years, it progresses. In a larger time frame of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, if we see, the stock market gradually rises over the years. So spiritual life, the graph of spiritual life is also like that. Although in day-to-day life, daily basis, we may not find these changes, but over the years, we find that our mind becomes pure and purer, and such a mind becomes transparent, transparent with sattva. They give two other examples. The mind is like a mirror, and we are trying to see our own reflection in that. If there is dirt in the mirror or the mirror is uneven, we don't get a clear picture of our mirror. With spiritual practices, what happens is the mirror becomes clearer and clearer, and we can see more of our true nature reflected in our mind. Such a mind becomes sattvic mind, and such a sattvic mind, because of its transparency, becomes almost like Atman. That is, in, in the terms of Vedanta, it reflects or it transmits the light of Satchidananda very clearly, like a prism. A prism, which is a very clean prism, if kept near a red flower, as it were, the prism becomes red. Such happens with a pure mind, a sattvic mind. Sri Ramakrishna tries to illustrate this point with a beautiful story, the story of three robbers. So one wealthy man was going by the highway, and three robbers, three highwaymen, caught hold of him and snatched away all the money he had. After snatching them, one of the robbers said, "Since we have got all that we needed, let us kill him." Then another of the robbers said, "No, no, no, why should we kill him? Let us rather tie him with a tree," by saying that he tied that man with a tree, and all of them left. After some time, one of those robbers came back and said, "I am very sorry, brother. You are very hurt, right? So let me untie you. So he unties the rope and says, now come with me, and shows him the highway. Look, this is the highway, and follow this highway, you will reach your destination. The man, feeling a sense of gratitude, he says, why don't you come with me to my house? I shall be happy to treat you properly if you come to my house, because you have saved my life. Then that robber said, no, I can only show you the path. I cannot go with you because police will catch me. Sri Ramakrishna then says that that robber who said, let us kill him, is like tamas, the inertia nature of our mind, which almost kills us, which is so detrimental to us for our spiritual progress. Inertia, complacent nature, dullness, lack of enthusiasm in spiritual practice, that is tamas. And that robber who said, let us tie him, and tied the man, is rajas, activity, too much of activity, too much of getting involved into things which we don't require to get involved. That is rajas, that binds us with the world. And sattva, that robber who frees us, but and shows us like a guide, is sattva. But ultimately, that also cannot lead us to our destination. We have to go beyond all the three gunas to reach our real nature. But the point is, the sattvic mind, a mind which is dominant, predominantly sattvic, predominantly transparent, predominantly enthusiastic about spiritual practices, a, a blissful mind, a peaceful mind, a calm mind, that becomes our guru. Bhagavad Gita also refers to this point. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says that in 6th chapter, 3 verses he dedicated to illustrate this point. Not directly, but it is very much related to mind becoming guru. He says, verse number 5, chapter 6, Uddharetatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaivo yatmano bandhu atmaivo ripuratmanaha. So he says that, Arjuna, you have to afflict yourself with your own self, and you should not let you go down, because you yourself is your friend, you yourself is your enemy. What does he mean by that? By that, he wants to mean that we have a set of toolkit, a basic instruments we have, a toolkit we have, our body mind complex. And whatever goal we choose, we have only this toolkit, the basic toolkit. We have got a mind which is capable of healthy emotions to uplift us, as well as unhealthy emotions that pull us down. We have a rational intellect which can choose a wonderful goal and accomplish it, but which can also choose a wrong goal and destroy our life. So what it means is, our success in our life depends upon the condition of our instruments. If our instruments fulfill certain basic conditions, we are lucky we can accomplish the goal. Like having a car which is in good condition. Imagine a car which is not in a very good shape. It can help us to reach our destination or help us to reach the hospital. So what he says, Uddharet Atmana Atmana. Refine your instruments. So what does it mean? That our organs must be healthy. Our body must be healthy. Don't ignore your health. Let your mind be healthy. Feed your mind healthy food with holy thoughts, good thoughts, higher thoughts, elevating thoughts, and have an intellectual clarity about what I want in life. If your instruments are healthy, qualified, and well directed, you can reach the goal. And how to refine this instrument? Here, we have to refine our instrument with our own instruments because we don't have anything else to refine the instrument. So we have to refine our body with our body, refine our mind with the help of our mind, refine our intellect with the help of our intellect. And na atmanam avasadayet. Never weaken your instrument. And what is the greatest weakness? The attitude that I cannot grow. I cannot grow spiritually or I cannot reach my goal. That is the very wrong attitude that weakens your instruments. So never bring down yourselves. Never be too self-critical. Never be too optimistic. Have self-confidence and have self-effort. Then he says, Atma evo Atmana Bandhu. You yourself is your true friend. That is, all other help, our human guru, scriptures, everything else, even gods, can help us indirectly. The direct help is your own body-mind complex. It is like taking part in a race. Others are clapping, the coach is clapping, the fans are clapping, but ultimately I have to play my part, and then only I can succeed in the game. So all of them are clapping, indirectly helping, but we should not be sleeping. If we sleep when others are clapping, then Atma eva ripu atmanaha. You yourself become your enemy. So we know that our instrument can be friendly too, can be enemy too. If we don't know how to use the instruments, if the instruments are not under our control, are not managed well, those very instruments can be detrimental. Any gadget, if we don't know how to use it, it is not under my control, then it can be my enemy. Similarly, this your own mind, if it is not under your control, rather you are under its control, then your own mind can become your enemy. That is, and how do I know that? What is the sign through which I know that my mind has become my own friend? In the next verse number 7, he says, Jitat manaha prashantasva paramatma samahita. Prashantasva, that is, one who has managed one's body-mind complex, Jitat manaha. What is the nature? Prashantasva, mind will be calm. Mind will not be turbulent. In the midst of all the difficulties, chaos, there will be a sense of peace or calmness in the mind. That is sign that mind has become pure. And such a mind is your own friend. So what is the method? What is the way of gaining this purity of mind? Making our mind our own friend, or making our mind our own guru. That is what it boils down to are two things. One is abhyasa, regular spiritual practice, and vairagya, knowing the limits of sense pleasure or fleeting pleasure. This is really very helpful. Not only right intention, but cultivating a sense of enough is enough. We know what this world can give us, the limits of worldly things. That also, I find it very practical in when I sit for evening meditation. Before that, after sitting for quite some time, I contemplate the world. You know, for example, I sit for meditation and think what people are doing now outside, making, having a social gathering or visiting this place, that place, or dining out. That's it. That's it. But here I am now sitting and going to do something which is the most important thing in our life. And I remember Sri Ramakrishna's advice to Vidyasagar that yes, Vidyasagar is doing so many great things, good things, but there is gold inside, but could not get a trace of that. So the gold is within, and what I am going to do is the most important thing in life is trying to dig so that I can get a glimpse of that gold. Sometimes we get, not that every day we get a glimpse of the gold that lies within, but we know that this is of supreme importance, and cultivating a sense of detachment to the world, to the, I have told it earlier, to the extent we have a sense of enough is enough to this world, to that extent our meditation will be fruitful or successful. These two practices, regular spiritual disciplines and cultivating a sense of detachment, knowing the limits of all the worldly things. This gradually makes our mind pure, and such a mind becomes our true guide. So, Guru is nothing but a guide. And frankly speaking, Guru is our the best friend. Truest friend is Guru. And mind also, when becomes sattvic, pure with practices, it becomes our greatest friend, the best friend we can have. Bhartihari, one of the saints, he wrote Niti Shatakam, 100 verses on morality. There he defines who is a friend. That's very interesting. He says that person is a friend. Papat nivarayati yojayate hitaya. Guiham cha guihati gunan prakati karoti. Apadgatam chana jahati dadati kale satmitra lakshanam idam prabadanti santaha. So who is a true friend? Who prevent us from committing mistakes, spiritual mistakes. And Joyate hitaya. Engage us in good things. Encourage us to do good things. Gunan prakriti karoti. Brings out the best within us. Apadgatam chana jahati. Even in difficult times, it does not leave us. And dadati kale gives us whatever is needed for our good. Such friend is a true friend. Not only the friend who is always good to us, always friendly to us, and always there to, you know, socialize with. The true friend is one, true guide is one who encourages us to do good things and also prevent us from doing mistakes, spiritual mistakes. And it happens in daily life in bits by bits when mind tries to deceive us. One part of the mind say, uh, let us skip the meditation today. And then the friendly mind, the guru mind says, this is the most important thing. How can you skip this? And maybe today you don't have that much time. Maybe you have less time, but don't skip it altogether. Do it even for a while. So that is a friendly mind. That mind is a guide mind. That's a guru mind. When we try to look at it from secular point of view or from psychological point of view, what happens? What happens is with such practices, we develop a capacity to objectify our own self. That is, one part of our mind can objectify the mind. We can objectify our own mind. That is, we see through the real motives. We see through the different tendencies of the mind and see that what are the real motives in my mind. And that is, we can objectify our mind. We can get like a third person view of our own mind. And remember, that is the also role of a guide, giving a third person perspective of our mind. When we consult somebody, a wise person, what you will find is what that person is doing is nothing but seeing the great picture, the bigger picture, and can see your problems, your life objectively, which we cannot do ourselves. But with a mind purified by spiritual practices, that is what happens is we can get a third person perspective of our mind, and that is like a guide. We come to know, no, what this is our your true motive. I understand, and also not only that, we also become compassionate to our mind. This is very, very important. We need not be too critical of ourselves. We should treat ourselves compassionately too. These two, I would say that according to my understanding of spiritual life is mostly, I would say, that a fine balance between many paradoxes. And this is two paradoxes. At the one side, being too critical about us, too critical about our progress. At the other hand, being too complacent about our spiritual practices. So a fine balance between not being too critical, being compassionate to ourselves, at the same time, not being complacent to our spiritual practices. This two fine balance is achieved with regular spiritual practices and some amount of detachment. And such a mind, when we have got such a balance, or other way around, when our mind has become sufficiently sattvic, pure, we have such a fine balance in us. So, such a mind encourages us, treats us compassionately like a true friend, encourages us, pat us for our spiritual achievements, accomplishments, at the same time is not complacent about our spiritual practices. Then our mind becomes our own guru. Our mind becomes our own guide, and we can rely on such a mind. With when we have such a mind, we can be sure that we are on the track. We are on the track. It only is a matter of time and patience when we reach the goal. With such a mind is probably the best thing we can have, and such a mind becomes our own guru. So that is how our mind becomes our own guru. To summarize, uh, Sri Ramakrishna says our Satchidananda, our Atma, the true self that is sitting within our heart, whom we call our Ishta, is the real guru. And we got inspiration and a roadmap and instruction to meet the person who is sitting in our heart from a human guru. And what human guru has given us with faith, if we keep on practicing that, our own mind becomes our own guru. And these practices are two. One is regularity in spiritual practices, daily practices, not lacking in that. Secondly, cultivating a sense of detachment to the world, knowing that this world, what is giving to us, what can give us, are only fleeting pleasures, fleeting happiness. But if you want a real meaning in life, we have to dig within to see the gold, to touch the gold, to enjoy the gold with these two practices, abhyasa and vairagya. And after some time, we find that our mind becomes sufficiently pure, sufficiently sattvic, sufficiently transparent when it reflects the Atman, Satchidananda, which is within. Such a mind, like a true friend, guide us in our spiritual life. Like a true friend, encourages us, treats us compassionately, and at the same time does not let us become complacent about our spiritual life. And when we have such a friend in us, such a mind, we may say mind has become our own guru, we have reached or got what is called Atma Kripa, our own grace. In Vaishnava literature, they say that Guru, Krishna, Vaishnav তিনের দয়া হলো একের দয়া বিনে জীব ছাড়ে খাড়ে গেল. That means one might get the grace from all these three. Guru, that is human guru. Krishna, that is God, God's grace. And also Vaishnav, that is other devotees. One might get indirect uh, uh, encouragement, indirect help, or grace from all these three. One's guru, God and other devotees. But if one does not get one's own grace, self grace, then one is gone. And that is self grace or Atma Kripa. We get such grace when our mind becomes sattvic, pure, and reflects the true Guru which is within. So, Guru Purnima is approaching next Sunday, and let us try in our own capacities without becoming too critical about our spiritual growth. Spiritual growth is gradual, we need patience, and as I said, we cannot perceive our spiritual growth in day to day life, but over time we are growing. With this hope and optimism, let us be regular in our spiritual practices, and we also let us practice some amount of detachment from this world. Then our mind will become our own guru, mind will become our own friend, mind will become a true guide, and we shall achieve Atma Kripa or our own grace. Thank you. I can take a few questions if you have. Please put your questions in your chat box. Okay, let me see. One needs willpower to control the mind. How does one increase the willpower? Willpower is increased by regular practice. Regular practice is nothing by a control of the willpower. So willpower, there is no magic formula to increase one's willpower, but to with regular spiritual practice, we increase our willpower. How can one practice emotional detachment in daily life? Will objectifying the mind help in achieving it? Surely. In fact, we say in our circle, in our monastic circle, that once you have achieved the capacity to objectify your mind, you have you have advanced a lot. You have advanced a lot because many of our emotional troubles go unnoticed because we become one with our emotions. When we can perceive our emotions somehow objectively, then we can practice detachment easily. Is not it Atman is always pure? Atman is always pure. There is no doubt about that. But the medium through which Atman is reflecting through the body mind complex, that needs to be purified. Though the example is, as I said, the sun is pure, it is effulgent, but to get a clear reflection of the sun, we need to calm down the waves of the lake. So Atman is always pure. Real Satchidananda Guru is always pure, but it is expressing through this body and mind complex, which is needed to be made purer so that the light of Atman can come out almost unobstructedly without any obstruction. Can we say that Atma Kripa comes when your mind becomes Guru? So it is the effect of a pure mind? Yes. In fact, all these things happen simultaneously. mind becoming guru, mind becoming pure, mind becoming sattvic, and Atma Kripa or our own grace, these are simultaneous things. So we may say that yes, the more we become, mind becomes pure or sattvic or calm, the more we get our Atma Kripa or our own grace. But frankly speaking, these are all simultaneous things. So difficult to say this comes first and that comes later on. All comes, all help each other. The more we get Atma Kripa, the more we get purity of mind. So these are happen simultaneously. But to answer your question, yes, the if we say that the more we become, our mind becomes purer, the more we get our Atma Kripa. So we need human guru to start with. Definitely, we need a human guru to start with to get the roadmap, to know the destination, and to know the necessary instruction how to travel the road map. But we have to trade ourselves the road. We have to drive ourselves. Okay, thank you very much. So let us end with chanting. I am sharing the screen with you so that you can also chant with me. And yes, I am not making the announcements, only these are available in our website. But next Sunday, Swami Prapanananda ji would speak on the topic meditation on Guru. So here is the closing chant. Please join me. Om Madhuvata Ritayate Madhuksharanti Sindhavaha Madhiirna Santoshadhihi Madhunaktam Uto Sasi Madhumat Parthivagam Rajaha Madhudvau Astuna Pita Madhumano Banaspatir Madhumagam Astu Suryaha Madhiir Kavo Bhavantunaha Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Sweet blow the winds, and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the herbs and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us be the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessing. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us be the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us be the shining sun. Sweet unto us be all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace.